Hi, how are you doing?
Good, and you?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Will you be sending this presentation as last time?
Yes, of course. Yeah. I'll ask everybody to put their emails in the chat, and then after I'll get all the emails and I'll send it.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, it is 2 o'clock. Thank you everybody for logging in today. This is Leveraging Market Stats to Boost Your Business series. We do this every single month, right around this time of the month, where we're going over the official statistics of South Florida real estate. Not just the statistics, but more important, the analysis, right? What is happening in the market now? Where is the market going to? We have loaded this PowerPoint with 83 pages. We have incredible graphics that we're going to go through here. So thank you everybody who is logged on, not just on Zoom, but also we are live on social media. I know we have a big following on LinkedIn that follows us and logs in every single time on LinkedIn. So thank you on LinkedIn. And without further ado, the reason this program has been successful for the last 2 years is the different Miami leaders that come on board and give that analysis, the boots on the ground. And we have one of our best leaders. He is our chairman of the board elect, so he'll be the chairman in 2025. Eddie Blanco. Eddie, thank you so much for being here, Eddie.
Thank you for having me. And I will argue that the reason this is so successful is because of the Miami professionals like you that put together all these stats and really give us great analysis. So thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you so much, Eddie. And we have an incredible team, our design team, really incredible. George Yvette, David Garcia, Oliver Lopez, Bolivar, BK Peterson, incredible. But Eddie, right off the top, I'm going to give you a question right off the top. Why is this important for realtors to be market experts and to tell Miami's story?
Yeah, the reason we as Miami professionals and realtors need to be up to date with the data is that, if we're not controlling the narrative, we'll have the media controlling the narrative, what's happening in Miami. And as we all know, each real estate is a local business. And so what's happening, national headlines will tell one story, but we have another story to tell, which is the Miami story, which is very different from what's happening in other parts of the country.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And as you will see, the Miami real estate market is an outlier. It's a leader when compared to other markets. So let's get under the way. Here's our agenda for today. About the next hour, if you could stick with us, you're going to get a lot of important takeaways that could help you in your business. And as we move over, we have future Leveraging Stats webinars. We're going to be here next month and the one after, and we're going to keep going. We have incredible leaders. Chandra will be with us in November, and then Ines, the chairman of the board, in December. You could register right now for these webinars at miamirealtors.com/leveraging market stats. And yes, it's being recorded. And yes, one of the number one questions on the comments, can I get this PowerPoint? The answer is yes. Why don't you go ahead and if you guys could write your email in the chat box. Afterwards, I'll take down all those emails and I'll make sure to email this PowerPoint to you. Also the same on LinkedIn. I know there's a lot of people on LinkedIn. Put your email in the comment section. I'll make sure to take those all down and we'll get this to you, the complete PowerPoint. And so one of the important websites I wanted to mention right off the top, try to make it easy. We just make one website. If you could just remember this one, sfmarketintel.com. This is where we put all of our stats reports, our infographics, our videos, presentations, try to make it easy, sfmarketintel.com. I might mention it once or two more times after today. Okay, Eddie, I'm going to go over, these are new graphics that our design team created. We're going to go over these really quickly, and then I'll ask you a question on Miami, but these are some of the top metrics, top indicators that we saw in the stats for September 2023. The one in Miami that jumps off the page is single family home dollar volume up 29% year over year. And I'll get back to that. But first, let me go through the other counties. Broward County, some of the top metrics for Broward County is single family home sales are up in Broward. Let's move over to Palm Beach County. If you look at the mid-market, 400,000 to 600,000 condo sales, year-over-year sales are up in Palm Beach County. And then Martin County pending sales are up. But let me go back to Miami. Eddie, I went and I looked at this because this number jumped off the page and I looked in the history. This is the second best September for Miami single-family home dollar volume in history. And it's even 1% higher than September 2020, when rates were at 3%. Just really incredible. Just what are your thoughts here on dollar volume, even though we know that mortgage rates are now at 8%?
Yeah, well, and mortgage rates are 8%, but see, there's two important things to remember is that we're having an enormous increase in the people, the people that are migrating to Miami. Their income is much higher than our historical Miami median income. And so those people are able to push up those prices because they see the value in Miami. When you're moving from California or New York, you see Miami prices and think, wow, what a deal. So it's a little bit of a sticker shock for us that have been here and watched these prices go up. But for people that are coming into Miami, they still see the value. And then the other factor is that because interest rates are high, that's kind of locking some people into their home. So inventory is driving down because of high interest rates, causing the value of homes to continue to go up.
Yeah, no, very interesting. Okay, and we have we have data to back that up. We're going to show you the people moving here and what incomes they're bringing. That's a little bit later in the program. And so next, let's talk specifically about mortgage rates. This is the highest mortgage rates in 23 years. We're pretty much at 8%. So Eddie, just wanted to see what impact, you mentioned briefly a little bit about mortgage rates, but what impact are you seeing from buyers on mortgage rates?
There's no doubt. I mean, there's a sticker shock, because when you saw those interest rates at 2 and 3%, and now you're seeing them at 8, that's a shocker, no doubt. And that does affect affordability without question. The fact is, though, when you look at these decades, we've had really low interest rates, but they've been the reason the rates have been low is because our fiscal policy in our country has been driving those rates artificially low. And you know, if you look at the history of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, 8% is in line with what those rates were. Sure, in 2020 and 2010, you know, after 2010, 2020, you've seen those low rates, but those low rates are because the Fed was trying to stimulate the economy, and it worked, and it also drove home prices up. So we just have to have those conversations with our buyers, explain to them that, you know, historically, it's not out of control when you look at the long history of the U.S., and paying rent is not a good alternative to paying high interest rates. And the other thing is, you know, consumers, you know, they'll sometimes consumers are complaining about the high interest rates on homes, but they have credit card debt in 12, 13, 14, 18% interest rates. So relatively speaking, home rates aren't that high, really. I mean, you just got to look at the big picture of real estate.
Yeah, very good point there on credit card rates. Exactly. Yes. There's not a lot of talk there, but those credit card interest rates are very, very high. Yeah. Okay, and so, you know, maybe it's time for realtors to get creative now, as mortgage rates are at 8%. Our chief economist said you should expect it. She believes we'll stay in the 7.5 range for the rest of the year. So how can realtors get creative? Eddie, are you familiar with any of these programs here? And do you see realtors using this more and more now?
It's things that realtors, we're still not as savvy as we could be in learning these programs, but absolutely, yeah. The buy down rate, where you're able to get the seller to offer a credit to the buyer to incentivize a lower temporary low rate, that gives them a little bit of buying power with the future hopes that they can refinance at a lower rate in the future. There's that option. There's assumability of mortgages. You know, there's a lot of different ways that we can structure this. It takes a motivated buyer and the right agent to guide them through the process. Yeah. Understand the options.
Definitely. Okay. Let's move along and let's talk about our market fundamentals. Eddie mentioned it at the top. Miami's different from pretty much every single market out there. And these are the reasons why: our population growth, international migration, the new companies moving here, our wealth migration, top feeder counties. Let's break it down. First, let's talk about population. I know that there was recent articles recently about that Miami lost, I believe in the headlines, they said 80,000 residents during the pandemic, but they did not say the complete story. Almost every major metro lost population during the pandemic because the borders were closed. And especially here in Miami, where we're so international, we're dependent on international migration. But Eddie, can you talk about especially our international migration and how that's always been fueling this market?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we all know that our Latin American market, the Canadian markets have been driving people to buy in South Florida for many years, and we did have a lull there because migration, international travel went to zero, and when international travel goes to zero, then of course international sales is going to slow. But we've already seen the pickup of that as the travel has been coming in, the spending is coming in with with people like Messi coming in, and the international internationally, Miami's brand is so strong. Our Miami mayor has done a fantastic job. He was ahead of that game, really promoting Miami brand. And you can see that in all the high-end brand hotels, condominiums that are being developed in Florida, in South Florida, driving a lot of people to continue to want to be in South Florida. So I see that as a future trend, and will continue, because once these high net worth people come here, move their businesses here, bring in all of their high income earning employees, those people need to live, they need to shop, they need to buy food. That all drives economy and gives small business owners opportunities that they didn't have before, driving the economy and furthering more investment in South Florida. So I'm bullish on Miami market for sure.
Yeah. And Eddie, that's a perfect segue, because take a look here. Here are the global powerhouse. Yeah, perfect. You set it up perfectly. Here are the powerhouse companies that now call South Florida home: Blackstone, Goldman Sachs, Citadel. Incredible. And then look at the tech companies that have moved in here. Incredible wealth migration. And then here is what Eddie talked about, the increase in the income, adjusted gross income of households moving to South Florida. You talked a little bit about this. How is this going to help our future?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, that it's not just the high income earners. Like I said, the high income earners come here, they spend their money in shops, in restaurants, in cars, and in boats, and travel, and they all this money that's being spent drives more investment, because, well, I mean, they want to live, shop, and play here in Miami. So it's not like Miami used to be a destination to come, vacation, and go. Now people are coming, setting roots here, and that money is going to be spent here, driving real estate values. That's just the reality.
For
Miami
sure.
of the 80s is not the Miami of today or the future.
Yeah, for sure. It's the global city of the future, definitely.
Yes, sir. And we have our global headquarters, which we just did a tour of, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I think that global headquarters that we're building will be a great place for us to bring international leaders, have conversations about where Miami's headed, and continue to drive the Miami brand, and continue to, strengthen the investment and growth of Miami.
Yeah, well, everybody here at HQ is super excited to move across the street in that unbelievable building.
That's really awesome.
All right, so let's take a look at which feeder counties. These are our chief economist, Gabe Cororton, did incredible research. Which counties are moving here, and then our design team put this into effect, and really shows you. Number one, of course, is New York. And then we have LA, and number three, Kings County. But realtors here could leverage this by marketing to these counties, and also getting referral opportunities in those, working with agents in those counties. As we know, they are still coming here. And then our chief economist, also, this is a updated data on driver's license exchanges, because when you move to a new state, you have, I believe, 90 days to change your license plate. And so we're able to look at that data compared to 2019, and it's the same three states. Well, yep. Actually, it's California, New York, and New Jersey are the top three in moving here for driver's license exchanges.
That's it. That's fantastic.
Yeah. And then so let's move over here to how many new net residents per day. I try to include this slide every single time in this presentation, because we really have to remember how Florida has been growing, and how we're the #1 fastest growing state.
Yes, we are. And I think that trend will continue for a good time, because of the wealth migration, because of what we were just talking about, because of the politics. Also, there's definitely a divide, and that divide, we're the beneficiaries of that divide in wealth in our nation, and also in fiscal policies that drive more investment. So Florida is a very business friendly state. It's also great for high net worth people to live, because we don't have a state income tax. So it's for all those reasons that's driving our growth here.
Yeah, for sure. And then, so here was a graphic that we put together in terms of looking at the population in different age brackets. And Eddie, this is when we're talking about the future, and you see the growth there specifically in the 45 to 54 years, those are the prime earning years. So that's what you want to see, right? When you look at the county population.
That's exactly what you want to see. And that's very different from what we saw in the early stages of Miami. Miami used to be a place where retirees used to come, bring, and retire, not come and build businesses. So that is the very, very different demographic that will continue the growth. And so a lot of these 25 to 44, I mean, if you look at that, that's like 700,000, more than 700,000 people that are coming into their ripening in wealth building. And those are people that are going to buy real estate, essentially. So that's why when people ask, why are property values so high? How can people afford them? The answer is, it's a different person buying today than they were in the 70s, 80s, 90s, even in early 2000s.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at our international study. We do this every single year. We publish it roughly around December, and we are putting together our 2023 study. But we want to have a little bit of fun here on the webinar. I wanted to ask you a couple questions here, 3 questions. We're going to see who could get these correct. And Eddie, do you have an idea for a prize that we could give the winner? Or
I'm not sure, but don't we have sometimes some gift cards or something like that we can give away?
Yeah. Well, right now we don't, but maybe we could look into it. But
all right.
So here are some of the questions. If you guys in the chat, if you could also, if you're on LinkedIn, let's see if you know your Miami global data. What is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Number 2, how many total countries purchase real estate in South Florida? And what percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida? Miami, Broward, and Palm Beach. So we're going to give those answers a little bit later. We're going to see who is the winner. But first, let's get into official stats. We are releasing this to the media today. Median sale price. How are we doing median sale price? No surprise, Miami sale prices continue to rise. This is now 141 consecutive months of increases in median sale prices. Exactly what, Eddie, you were talking about in the beginning about how Miami is different from all other markets. And I wanted to ask you, I look at the stats or news releases from other markets. I saw Orlando release their stats, and Orlando median prices have declined for 3 months in a row. Why? You have mentioned this before, but could you put into words, why are we continue to see price appreciation while other markets are not?
Well, I mean, I think that, like I said, with all that wealth migration, I mean, that just changes everything. And the other factor is that people have to be cognizant of is that, what I see for the future and I'm not an economist, but if inflation, with inflation where it's at and the potential of a recession, people don't realize that when there's an economic recession in the stock market, a lot of money moves into real estate, because if there's inflation or instability in the stock market, where to better put your money than in real estate, a tangible asset that creates cash flow, that provides the opportunity for leverage and provides enormous tax benefits. So wealth will continue to flow to real estate, in my view.
Interesting.
For sure.
Yeah. And isn't it the real estate is one of the industries that does well during a recession?
During a recession, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here's a look at Broward official stats. Again, no surprise, prices continue appreciating. And then in Palm Beach, we have more appreciation, up to 600,000 for single family homes. And then, okay, so now we're going to look at a historical look. And this is, again, you guys will have this available in the PowerPoint. If you missed it from the top, if you'd like to get our PowerPoint, go ahead and write your email in the chat and I will email it to you afterwards. But here's a look at our price appreciation and how it's increased through the years. Really incredible.
We should also say, I mean, if you are a Miami realtor, you have access to our market intel, or a lot of these graphics are produced and provided to you, so that you can take that and share that information in emails, in social media, in conversation with people. letting them understand that what they're hearing from their cousin isn't the right answer in terms of what's going to happen with real estate. And so if you're the advisor for them, it's important that you understand this information, that you're sharing this information with your customers so they don't get left out of the picture. I know people that decided to sell real estate in 2018 thinking that that was the height. Well, we all know they missed out big time.
Definitely, the numbers there, they prove it. But yes, thank you for that, Eddie. Yes, help us be our advocate for the industry. And here's a look at Broward, how prices have increased through the years. And here's a look at Palm Beach. Okay, another important factor is our inventory. It's still, while it's increasing, and actually noteworthy in the stats this month is that new listings actually increased for the first time in many months for Miami, which is very important for our market. But we're still below where we should be. And here's a look at the graphic of how much under our inventory is.
Yeah, I want to say something about that because inventory historically, year over year, and you can look at the data, it's there. Historically, inventory builds during these months. Late September, October, November, December, sellers put homes on the market. But that's also a time where people are thinking already holidays and maybe we should wait till next year and see what happens. So buyers' activity slows down October, November, December, even into January. Then after everybody gets over the holiday buzz and starts getting those tax refunds, we start seeing February, March, and April, inventory goes down, buyer activity goes up. That is a trend that has continued year over year over year. The only time that wasn't true was the year of COVID when, 2020, it was March, it was in that Q2 that COVID hit and people didn't know what was going to happen. So buyer activity didn't do what it normally does that time of the year. But that was that only one exception to that. And you look through the histories, you can see the wave month over the quarters, how it does. In quarter two is another pickup. So these next two quarters, they might be a little bit of a lag for you. You might be thinking, oh my God, this is the end of the world. No, it's not. It's just the trend that happens. So inventory picks up a little bit, buyer activity slows down a little bit, but then at the beginning of next year, it picks right back up. So stay consistent with your prospecting, stay consistent with your communication with your customers, and let buyers know that in this lull is the right time to buy because sellers are itchy to get those offers and at this time. So all the way in through like February of next year. Take advantage of that.
Yeah, no, that's excellent, especially for new realtors that are just starting out. That's incredible advice. And I wrote that down. That sounds like an excellent soundbite that I'm going to use next week when I put them together. But great job, Eddie. Okay, here's another graphic that we put together in terms of how Miami is still undervalued when you compare it to other global cities. And this is how much you could property of 1 million can purchase in selected cities. And you can see where Miami is number one.
Yeah, that's no doubt. I mean, when people come from other parts of the US to here, other big metros, they see that. And when they come from other large metros internationally, it's enormous, the difference in real estate values.
Definitely. Okay.
And I think that's part of that has to do with also our ability to finance real estate here and how the US has the opportunity to do that. And people see Miami brand is just, Miami's brand hasn't always been as sexy as it is today. And let's understand that shift has happened. And I see a trend where Miami will be the number one metro in the US. And with all those big finance companies that we talked about earlier moving here, that's not by mistake. Those people are very smart, way above my pay grade for sure. And they're not just gambling. They're not going to say, hey, let's just move to Miami. It's fun, it's warm, it's sunny. No, they're moving here because we are an international mecca. We're the connection to Latin America. Miami is just becoming of age, I should say. I see Miami as a young adult just trying to figure themselves out and starting to get a clear course of where it's going to be when it grows up. It's not done yet. That's the way I see Miami, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we're one of the youngest cities when you compare it to
No doubt.
all the cities in Europe and even New York.
Yep.
We're
a baby city. We're still growing up.
Definitely. Okay, and this is a slide that I like to put in there because we always seem to get questions. Hey, prices are growing or accelerating so fast. Are we going to have another 2008? Eddie, how do you answer that question?
That's something I could speak to very well because in 2009, 10, I sold a lot of foreclosed properties, and I'm still very much in connection with a lot of the people that and still have clients in the space of selling foreclosed properties. So what they're seeing in the horizon in residential real estate is no big deal. They're not concerned at all, and everybody has a consensus that residential real estate will be strong. There's some concerns about the commercial real estate space, and so there's some concerns about that. But residential single family homes, it's still super undersupplied. Our people have, what happened in 2008 led to a lot of developers stopping to develop. Our population continued to grow, and we still have not caught up on developing. And with cost of development so constrained, I don't see that supply being fulfilled in time so I'm very optimistic about the future. What led us to our economic decline was poor lending policies, a lot of speculation, really weird loan products that do not exist today, and that led to that 2008 crisis. Today, we're in a different place. A lot of that has to do with the changes that were made in the Dodd-Frank bill that passed in 2010, really restricting the way mortgages are created and the way they're securitized. And so that all drives into the equation. But I don't expect a residential challenge. There might be some changes in the commercial space and repricing. But 30-year fixed mortgages are still in place. And I think the statistic I saw was like somewhere like 80% of people have an interest rate locked in today for 30 years under 4%. So, I don't expect, and with the amount of equity people have built up, a foreclosure crisis in residential homes, I don't see that looming at all.
Yeah, for sure. Well, why would you foreclose when your equity is almost at record highs?
Yeah, it's not happening.
It's not happening. And here's a look at data that looks at that. Foreclosures, credit scores are still high. So let's go ahead and move on. Why buy a home now? We've talked a lot about this, how it's the best hedge against inflation. Our home prices, Eddie, you mentioned rents are rising too. Any other points that you wanted to add to this? Or?
Yeah, one other factor that didn't exist in 2008 and actually helped us get out of the 2008 real estate pricing issue was that Wall Street got into Main Street. Wall Street bought a lot of homes as rental properties. They're still a very small percentage of the whole picture, but it's significant. And so a lot of those guys in Wall Street are on the sidelines waiting. If prices did sag, they're going to buy, and they're going to buy to hold long-term rentals. So if Wall Street's willing to buy real estate and turn them into rental properties, then it might make sense that we as realtors advise our clients to do the same.
Exactly. Very good point. All right, so let's take a look at closed sales. Important metric to look at, and they are down in terms of overall. But when you look at single family home sales, increased this year. This month, last month, September, up almost 3%. This is actually the first time single family home sales are up year over year since January 2022. And that's just because of the comparison, right? This is a comparison to 2022, which is pretty good year, especially the first half of 2022. So that's why home sales are down. And also we had mentioned about inventory is lower. Yep. Here's a look at Broward closed sales. They are down overall, but single family home sales are up. Interesting trend there. And then for Palm Beach, overall sales are down. Also for single family and condos.
Right. And when we're talking about home sales down, it's important to understand the distinction between home sales, the number of transactions, versus home values. And there's a big difference. So transaction volume is down in some cases, yes, but real estate values are not down and haven't trended down at all. And many people have that misconception. We're listing a lot of properties and getting multiple offers still on most of the properties that we list.
Yeah, for sure. And we have a stat there in terms of how much the original price to list we'll get to that a little bit later.
Yep.
And then, so here's another tool for realtors, everybody on the call to leverage. This is a part, you could find this on Matrix, is leveraging a Market Watch. Eddie, do you use this? It's a good way to kind of look at the micro, no?
Yeah, you can set up those market watches and tailor them to whatever you want to see. You can see it by single family or rentals, whatever, and you can see the trend, and you can say you want to see how far back. You can go back a day, you can go back 7 days, and it's cool to see those changes and what that might be. And if you pay attention to that consistently, you'll start to see trends that will support what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And be able to have that narrative, have that conversation, educated conversation with your buyers. A buyer doesn't want to hear a realtor say, it's always a good time to buy real estate, because that sounds like a sales pitch. But when you give them data and show them why you're saying that, then that really helps them understand that you really understand what you're talking about when you're providing them that information.
That's excellent. Excellent. And a lot of real estate stats, like I say here, are backward looking, and this one lets you know what's happening in the last 7 days in that neighborhood that you have. So please use that Market Watch. And then, so here are some other tools, maybe the realtors that are on this call or on LinkedIn watching. We have SunStats, which is free for Miami members, and that lets you create graphics, which we'll be showing you shortly. We also have zip code reports. Our design team just uploaded not just every single zip code in all of our counties of South Florida. It is posted on, or will be posted, sfmarketintel.com. And we also have city stats, every single city, and that's on sfmarketintel.com. And another tool that you guys should be using, because it's free, is RPR on our Miami Gateway. Here's an example of what you could pull from RPR. Neighborhood housing stats and charts. Here's an example of SunStats, what you could do. Again, it is free for Miami members. I created this Hialeah infographic chart in literally 30 seconds. You just select your metrics and it pops out with your info there, your picture and your info.
Yeah, and Chris, what I want to say about that is that gives you micro data and it gives you micro content. And so when people are talking about what's happening in the country or what's happening in Miami-Dade, when someone says, how's the market? I said, which one? Are we talking about Miami luxury condos? Are we talking about single family homes in Hialeah? Are we talking about condos in West Palm Beach? What are we talking about? Because all of those have different data points. And so this gives you the ability to narrow down. Right here is a city of Hialeah, which, is near and dear to my heart. It's where I grew up. Giving that kind of level of data on a social media post or in an email or over a conversation with somebody, it wouldn't be a terrible idea to call all the seller leads in Hialeah and say, hey, I just want to let you know I just ran some numbers and here's what I just found out. And I wanted to share that with you. That kind of using these tools to be a better, more effective in your sales, and that's what we all want to do. We're all here because all of us realtors want to sell more homes and list more homes, right? So you understanding how to use this is important. So that's some of the ways that I've used it. Another way you can use this data is to do a buyer's webinar or buyer's seminar and use some of these slides and stats and have a conversation with a group of buyers and maybe partner with a lender or title company to really provide this type of level of information to get people off the fence and forget about, I'm going to wait till interest rates come down. That can be a while.
Yeah. Awesome analysis there. I think that helps a lot of the realtors out there. I love that line, Eddie. How's the market? Which one?
Which one? Yeah. Which one?
I love it.
Because even the slides you showed before, where some things were, you had segmented certain markets and those markets were up. If you segmented some other markets, maybe they wouldn't be as up. And then you can say, look, this market within all of Miami looks like it's hurting a little bit. Why don't we consider buying there? Maybe you can get a better value in that market, So understanding like what markets are doing better and what markets aren't doing as well. It's the overall picture is one story, but there's so many little micro stories happening right in here. Right in here, I mean, in the South Florida market.
In the South Florida market, yeah, definitely. Okay, all right, let's take a look at new pending sales, best indicator of future closed sales. And we got new pending sales, and they are down for total sales in Miami-Dade County. And you're going to see the same trend lines as we go over. New pending sales are down. A lot is what, Eddie made that point earlier. This is the slower part of the season. And we have to remember 2022, how it ended. And
Well, I don't have my glasses on. Let me see what we're talking about. So down, what's this graph? How far back does this graph go?
This goes to September 2021. So it's
that's the thing, when we're talking, when we're talking the sales numbers are down from 2021, when interest rates were like this tight and everybody was making real estate moves and all these people were migrating, and it was like a real estate incredible. Like if you thought that was real estate sales, it wasn't. I've been in the business since 1998 and we didn't have real estate like that. So now realtors have to retool themselves, understand how to be better effective salespeople, and understand that that was a blip in the history. And that's probably not going to happen anytime soon. Just like those crazy low prices we saw in 2010, not going to happen again. Those high sales that we saw in 2021, not likely to happen again. So let's pay attention, not so much to how many transactions are happening, but really what's the trend in pricing. And that's the real important.
Yeah. No, very good. Very important points there in terms of 2021 and 2022. You had 3% interest rates. It was a perfect storm. You had COVID that opened up remote work. It was a perfect storm and created an historic year.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, let's take a look at dollar volume. Let's take a look at these numbers. And they, again, this is the slower part of the season. We're in September, but still, you're talking about $1.67 billion just in September in Miami-Dade, 1.3 in Broward, 1.5 in Palm Beach. Eddie, every time I look at this, it really shows, wow, the incredible industry that we're in to produce those numbers.
Yep. I just want 1% of it. That's all. 1% of the whole market, and I'll be happy. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing where people are like, oh, I don't know. They talk about the market, like the market's like this big thing. Really, it is a huge opportunity. Like if you think about all the people that live in South Florida and how much capacity you have to reach them, the problem isn't getting new business, it's having a right mindset of going out and getting it. You just have to have the right mindset. Understand that we live in an enormously wealthy and enormously growing market with a lot of people and a lot of people that need help. And retooling yourself as a realtor and getting focused on making those contacts. I tell my team, it's simple. Real estate is simple. Don't worry about what's happening in the big macro. It's people and properties. If you stay in touch with the people that you know, like, and trust you, and reach out and build new relationships all the time, and know property, meaning know this stuff, and that, good kudos to all of you for being here, knowing this information. So it's your job is to know people and know what's happening in real estate and put those two together, and you're going to have a successful career, no matter what the market is doing.
Yeah, I love that. It's people and properties. And also something that you said really made me think about Rock the Market. Natasha Teller was on there for the Big Brokers panel, and she talked about that. It's mindset. And she said some of the people on our team are having the best real estate years they've ever had, with mortgage rates at 8%. So it's what you said. It's your mindset.
It is. It's 100% mindset. This is a record-breaking year for us in our team. And it's because when COVID hit, I said, we're doubling down. We grew our team. We put more into relationships, put more into content, and the results have paid off. So I would say when markets are up and everything's wonderful, it's not as exciting to me. I like the instability in the market, people not knowing, because then when you are the true expert and you are a professional realtor and you take the time to tool yourself, then you shine above the rest, and you will take a large part of that $1.6 billion. That's a lot of real estate.
It is. Yeah. Wow. Well, congratulations on your team. That's great.
Thank you.
It's great news. All right. Months of supply. This is another important metric that we're keeping an eye on. And if you've been following along, 6 to 9 months, that's where we want to be. A balanced market. So it's, buyers are good, sellers are good. And obviously we're in a seller's market overall, but that changes if you look at what Eddie was talking about, different neighborhoods or the price ranges. And here's an example of how you could calculate months of supply. You'll have
Awesome.
this in the, you'll have it in the PowerPoint when I send it to you.
Yep, months of supply is a great way to help sellers understand where to price their homes, and also let buyers understand that prices aren't going to change when months of supply is below 3%. I mean, 3 months or under 6 months, still very much a seller's market.
Yeah.
And that's true for most markets in South Florida today.
Right. And there you go. Overall, Miami-Dade is 4.9 months, and single family is at 3.8, and condos is 5.8 months. What's interesting is Miami has more supply than Broward, which is at 3.6, and over at Palm Beach is 3.5.
Yep. And then you could bifurcate that data even more of, like, you're talking about condos and townhomes. Well, let's talk about condos versus townhomes. That's a different thing. Also, let's talk about condos that are built before, a certain year, newer condos versus older condos, high rise versus low rise, in the city versus in the suburbs. All that changes those numbers. So you got to just know those numbers. And that requires you to be able to watch this market intel, listen to Chris and Gay's analyses, and also, dig in yourself, dig into that data, use those tools that we're talking about, SunStats and our what you call it? Was it South Florida Intel? South Florida
Yeah, sfmarketintel.com.
SF, thank you, SF Market Intel. Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. Okay.
I need my cafecito.
Yeah, it's almost that time.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a look at 1 million and above. How Eddie was talking about how you could bifurcate and take a look at different metrics here. And months of supply is at 10.9 months, but we know that luxury, that they could take that, and that's normal. 10.9 months because it takes longer to sell these luxury properties.
Yep.
And here we go, breaking it down here by price range. And you could see condos 1 million and up. Hey, that's a buyer's market. Also, if you look at, let's say condos 600 to a million, 7.8, hey, that's a balanced market. That's in between 6 to 9 months. So yeah, exactly what you're talking about, how you could break down the data. Yeah.
And I'll tell you, it's crazy because if anybody would have listened to the media in 2009, 10, the condo bust, Miami condo market's oversupplied, there's 60,000 units, it's a ghost town, it's going to take 10 years to recover. I mean, it was atrocious, the things they were saying. And guess what? It was all a big fluff, because the truth is, smart people came in, bought it all, and I remember you could buy a condo in Miami downtown for $200,000 and try to do that now. It's just not happening.
Impossible.
So, I mean, it's perspective, it's understanding the data and being confident in the data that you know, and you would have been a star if you would have been the realtor saying, now is the time to buy condos in Miami downtown Brickell area, when everybody else was running away, and you were the realtor that knew the information, that was really supporting why those buildings were put in place in the first place. And you would have been leading your buyers into there. You'd have a lot of happy customers and many properties to sell in the future.
Yeah. And that kind of touches on what you said earlier, that you enjoy when there's a little bit of instability, because that's where you shine, right?
Yes, sir. You got it.
All right, hot markets. Our design team created these yesterday, and these are the hottest markets we're going to go through all the different counties, and hottest markets by months of supply. So lowest months of supply. Number one is Miami Gardens for single family, just 2.1 months. Kendall is at 1.4 months for condos. And I see Hialeah there. Eddie, is there any city that you'd like to talk about?
No, Miami Gardens. I mean, I'm in the Northwest Dade area, so I could speak very well to Miami. I know all these markets, and I would say that what's driving that is affordability, right? Those are still the markets in which affordable housing still exists, and we can get first-time home buyers into these markets. So what that tells me is, if I'm an investor, that's kind of where I want to be, because that's where prices will eventually kind of keep pushing up, because this balance between supply and demand.
Yeah. And then let's take a look at Broward. Once again, these graphics will be posted later today on sfmarketintel.com. You guys could download this and share it, be our advocate. And so Sunrise checks in at number one for single family, and Davie, hottest market in Broward for condos.
What's going on in Sunrise? Those numbers are incredible. Under 2 months, unbelievable.
Whew. And then let's take a look at Palm Beach, Royal Palm Beach Village, also at 1.5 months. Green Acres for condos in Palm Beach is number one. And we also have Martin County, and you can see Port Salerno is at number one for single family, and then Palm City is number one. Okay, active inventory. This is very important, especially this day and age. We have a high demand market, low supply. And actually what's interesting, Miami-Dade listings decreased. They had been increasing, so we had a decrease in Miami-Dade, and Broward is also down. But when you compare it to the historical average, I believe the historical average is around 19,000 where we should be. So you could see we're still about 50% down from average.
Yeah, again, these numbers are going back to 2001, and already inventory was low there. If you go further back where inventory was higher, we're still way below that. I mean, that graph doesn't do the history justice, right? Like if you go further back, you'll see that we're still way below where we were at the future point. We're half of where we normally were trending still, even though it's up. So when you see the headlines of sales are up or sales are down, what you got to really dig into the data, read the article, understand that what they're comparing it to makes a difference, and well, it makes all the difference. So you really have to dig into not read the headlines. Well, read the headlines if you want, but read the article, because then when you read the article, you realize, oh, they're just picking and choosing what they want to talk about.
Exactly, yeah. And this makes me think of Ron Sheffield. He's a broker in South Florida, many years, a lot of experience. And he says, you know, it's easy in terms of when you look at prices, if months of supply is less than 6 months, prices are going to appreciate. And, you know, we've seen prices, months of supply is less than 6 months. So that's why prices keep putting that upward pressure on prices.
About 3 years ago, when median home sales properties values were about 400, Mike Pappas at one of our Rock the Markets about 3 years ago said that he expects the median home price of South Florida homes to be $1 million within 10 years. And I thought, wow, that's a bold move. That number is already 600,000, and it's only been about 3 years. So, you know, his trend, if this trend continues, I think his forecast was actually shorter than, you know, he was right. I mean, you know, within 10 years, he said we might be at $1 million in median sale price.
Wow, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and when you look at the September data, 1 million and up transactions for single family are up 30% from last year. So that's how many over 1 million transactions that we're having is really impressive. All right, median percent of original price received. And this, we had touched on this earlier, and you can see you're almost getting at a list price. I mean, 97, 97, 96. And you could see during the pandemic years where it just jumped off the page. If it could have been over 100, it would have been.
Right, and that's to say, you know, some people that's still considering some of the overpriced homes that you sometimes see on the market. Even those average into that, right? So you have some homes selling above list price and some selling below, and that average is 97%. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Median time to contract. How many days does it take to come to terms in South Florida? It's 26. Broward is 23. Palm Beach 28. These are much lower. I mean, it's still a fast moving market, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes people get anxious when the house isn't sold in a couple of weeks. I'm like, I remember taking listings and being 3-4 months down the road, and you know, you were like, okay, you know, it's gonna sell, and it would sell. You know, you took 6-month listings, and you were lucky to sell it within 3 or 4 months. This is in the early 2000s or late 1990s. So 26 days, you're a rock star if you sell a house. And the fact that the average is doing that, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right, so let's cover some of the main points we talked about. Active listings are still down versus pre-pandemic. We talked about our chief economist, Gay Corratone, her forecast on mortgage rates. We have the comps, and our prices continue to rise. Okay, let's take a look at global study answers. We're going to see who got them correct. The first question is, what is the top foreign country purchasing in South Florida? Answer is
Argentina.
Argentina. Let's see. Let me go ahead in the chat here. Thank you for everybody for putting in your email. I will be looking at those afterwards. Let's see.
Beatrice. Acevedo. Beatrice Acevedo got that
Beatrice, congratulations, Beatrice.
Thank you.
You're on the money, Argentina. Great job.
You get the prize is bragging rights.
Great, thanks.
Bragging rights, yes. And then let's go over to the next question here. How many total countries purchased real estate in South Florida? Beatrice, you get another gold star because I saw you had 54.
Did
Great
she get the
job.
slides before this?
She
Good
knows
job.
her information. Thank you, everybody, for all the other. I'm looking at the other guesses. Thank you. Let's move over here. The third question. What percentage of Florida global real estate sales are made in South Florida?
Oh, I got that one wrong.
You got that one. Okay. 2 out of 3 is not bad. 53%. Let's see who had that. I believe I saw.
The closest I think I see to that is 64%.
Okay, yeah, Christy,
Christy.
yes, 64%. Thank you guys for all the guesses there. Really remarkable, especially when you consider number 2 is Orlando at 10%, how far ahead we are.
Right. And wait, and that the other thing is that what of this, so what is important to know is that Florida, this is in Florida, right?
Yeah.
So these are the MSAs in Florida, but 25% of all international sales in the US happen in Florida. And of those, 53% happen in South Florida. So it's like, it's really staggering. So it's an even bigger number.
Yeah, and we're going to be producing our 2023 study later this year.
Awesome.
Tools and resources, we've gone over these, but just wanted to emphasize them. SunStats, if you guys aren't using it, this is a free Miami service. And we also have co-branding material. You can find it at miamirealtors.com/co-brand. We have flyers that you could put your logo on. We also have some videos on there that you guys could use. Photify, and this is if you guys aren't familiar with Photify, this is a on-the-go app for realtors. We know you guys are always on at open houses, and so what the association has done is we've loaded this with templates, as you can see here, where you could put your picture at the bottom with your company logo and share it very, very quickly with Photify to your social media platforms. All right, market reports. These are the examples of reports, again, on sfmarketintel.com. This is what you're going to find there. We have the county, we have city, and we also have a third quarter city and then third quarter zip code reports. We produce infographics every single month. We also do videos and reports. You'll be seeing these on social media. We talked about our zip code and city and quarterly reports, our hot markets. We talked about RPR. Here's our trainers. If you guys have any questions on any service, this is the trainers that could help you out. All right, Eddie, wanted to look at this. This is called cross-market demand. This looks at which counties are looking at Miami-Dade listings, which out of state. And this is realtor.com does this, and really interesting how, of course, New York and you have CLA, but how can realtors use this? How can they leverage this?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, knowing where buyers are coming from, you could reach out to realtors in those markets through social media and connect with them and let them know that you're the realtor of choice. If they have anybody that's relocating, you can do posts about this. You can let your sellers know that, hey, we know that this is where the people are looking to buy from, and we're going to market to them. So there's a lot of different ways to use this information.
For sure. And they have it, actually it's for every single county. So if you guys want to access this, it's very easy. Just Google cross market demand on google.com, and it's the first thing. Go ahead and click there, and you could put in any county, and it will give you which counties are looking at those listings. Here's Palm Beach. No surprise. Look at how many New Yorks and New Jersey are looking at Palm Beach listings. All right, so we're actually look at that 2:55. Let me give you my email, chris@miamire.com, and then here's a look at our social media handles.
Chris, sorry.
Yeah, no, we have time for questions. Go ahead.
Just one question regarding Photify. How do I go to the ones that you have uploaded to the templates?
Yes, for the templates, when you have you downloaded the app?
Yeah, I downloaded. I have it.
Okay, and I know at the bottom you have to click on Miami Realtors. So you're there?
No, I don't know where to find that.
Yeah, when you go into the app, at the bottom, I believe it'll probably open up and it'll say Florida Realtors, but you have to switch it to Miami. There's a little arrow at the bottom.
Okay, I'll work on it. Thank you.
Yeah, you have to go to that URL, because you have to first make sure that you're set up on Photify. I think the URL, you need to get like
Oh, okay,
you need
perfect.
to tie the two
Okay,
together, the Photify with Miami Realtors.
okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I should have said that. You do have to register, but it's all free.
Right.
But yeah, and all the information is there on that website.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, let me see if there was any questions here in the chat.
No, we have time for a couple questions.
Yeah, I see. This is not a question, but from Susan, she said Germans are starting to purchase here in larger numbers. Definitely seeing this.
Yep.
Yeah, but thank you. If there are not any more questions, Eddie, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I think you helped a lot of realtors here.
Happy to help, and thank you for putting this together, because I mean, you did all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, no. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to everybody for logging in. Oh, there's a question here. Will this recording be available? Yes. We actually have MiamiRealtorsLive.com, where we upload all of our videos, but it will be posted there. But what I'll do is when I send out the email, I'll also send out I'm going to send the PowerPoint and a link to the recording as well. Thank you, Lillian. Awesome. Excellent. Well, thank you, Eddie. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next month.
Thank you.